Hi, I'm Pat Zietlow Miller, and I have a book that recently came out called What Can You Do with the Rock? And it's about all the wonderful things that children and adult readers can do with an average everyday rock. And I hope you find the book and read it and enjoy it. But what I want to talk about today are some other rock-related picture books that I think every picture book library needs because you can never have too many picture books about rocks. The first one I want to talk about is Everybody Needs a Rock by Baylor. This is the classic, iconic picture book about rocks. It came out in 1974. I read it to my kids when they were growing up. And it's a story about a girl who's giving the reader 10 tips if they're trying to find the perfect rock for them. And one of her pieces of advice is that the perfect rock for you should be a rock that feels easy in your hands. And I think that's excellent advice. And I think you should read this picture book. The second book that I want to mention is If You Find a Rock. This has beautiful lyrical language. It's got gorgeous photography for illustrations. And it talks about the different types of rocks that you can find. But we're not talking about these rocks' official name. We're talking about whether the rock might be a wishing rock or a skipping rock or a splashing rock. And this book will tell you about all the different kinds of rocks that are out there and also what you can do with them. The next book I want to talk about is Rocks in His Head. This is a nonfiction picture book by Carol Otis Hurst about Carol's dad. And Carol's dad grew up loving rocks, never went to college, ended up running a gas station, and he built shelves in his gas station to display all of his rocks. And when he wasn't working, he went and visited the Springfield Science Museum to admire the rocks that they had. He got to know the woman who ran the museum, ended up working there as a janitor, and eventually became the curator of mineralogy for the museum. It's a great book about a lifelong love of rocks and the importance of never giving up on your dream. There's also A Rock Can Be. This is by Laura Purdy Salas, and it's a rhyming, whimsical picture book about all the things a rock can be. And they might not be the things that you're expecting. There's a beautiful spread in here that talks about how rocks can be a book propper. They can hold up books as bookends, or a sheep stopper. They can be part of a fence that makes sure sheep don't get out of their proper field. And a book that does something similar, but in a different way, is A Rock is Lively by Dana Hutz Aston. And this is a book about, again, all the things a rock can be, but it has a lot more scientific information in it. For example, there's a page about how a rock can be galactic. And it's got beautiful art by Sylvia Long, and then lots of information about how galactic rocks can be meteorites or asteroids, or a lot of other things. So great science information and some gorgeous, gorgeous art. So I hope that you go to your library, visit a bookstore, find copies of these books, add them to your picture book library, and also look for my new book with Katie Koth called What Can You Do with a Rock? Thank you and happy reading.